Here's Kevin De Bruyne. It's early days in the season, but that might go down as the game of the season. It's finished at Anfield, Liverpool 2, Manchester City 2. Let's analyse the game. Let's take a look at some of the key stats. You guys know I love stats. Let's see if 2-2 was a fair result or reflection. Let's take a look at some of the controversial refereeing decisions as well. Please make sure to leave a like on the video for the YouTube algorithm so that this video is shown to more people and my channel generally is shown to more people. And if you are new here, do make sure to subscribe as well if you like the idea of regular football videos in your life. And let's just discuss what was a beautiful game of football. Let's start at the start. Very even contest to begin with. Maybe Liverpool got the better of the play slightly, but from around the 5th minute onwards, for the remainder of that first half, basically, it was pretty much all Manchester City all of the time. And there was one main reason for that. This man, Phil Foden, this is his heat map from the game. He was deployed on the left by Pep Guardiola for Man City today. The idea, I assume, being to take advantage of James Milner, Trent being injured. And that was clearly a weakness City identified and wanted to go for. Foden had him on absolute strings, especially in the first half. And basically, all of City's best play culminated in this side of the pitch. Unsurprisingly, most of City's attacking play came down that left-hand side. Lots of switches going on to allow Foden to just run at Milner, basically dribble past him, get in around him, and then it ended up in a yellow card for Milner. We'll get on to what should have been another yellow card later in the game. And that, I think, is reflected in the average position of Foden compared to Milner. Look how high up Milner is here. It's basically on the halfway line. Foden was constantly able to get in behind him, in and around him. Always a threat down that left-hand side for City. He was easily my Man City man of the match. Scored a goal as well. Had a hand in the second goal. And throughout most of that first half, Liverpool just could not cope with Man City. Man City were definitely the better side. They've created so many chances, but they could not put any of them in the back of the net. And I don't even know if it's about Man City needing a striker, but it was very reminiscent of the game at Spurs and the game at Chelsea and the game at PSG. We keep saying this over and over and over again. Man City need to finish their chances because they do create a lot. But the issue was, even when they did create stuff in this game, it wasn't exactly what you define as a genuine big chance. I think in the first half there may have been maybe only one actual big chance, and that was when Bernardo Silva, who was fantastic, somehow was able to dribble away from both Henderson and Fabinho, and then Robertson got involved as well, but somehow able to dribble away from all of those. I think he half sat down Van Dijk as well, which is, it's Van Dijk, so that's unbelievable to do so. And he slipped in Foden, and Foden, I think, should have probably hit it first time, but Alisson came out, closed the gap, and I think that probably would have gone down as Man City's best chance of the first half, and actually it might have been a better chance on paper than any of their actual goals. But Liverpool were able to hold on. Didn't really create too much themselves in that first half, but it went in 0-0 at half-time, and you knew that Klopp was going to change something, and indeed, in the second half, Liverpool were much improved, and that is reflected in the stats. Liverpool actually having slightly better XG than Man City overall, although it is very similar, 1 for City, 1.08 for Liverpool. But look at the XG in the first half. Clearly, Man City dominated there in terms of the XG, 0.72 compared to 0.02 for Liverpool at Anfield as well. But then look at the second half, a massive improvement for them. They were able to create much more. And I think that the game didn't go away from City necessarily in the second half, but they certainly were nowhere near as dominant. Klopp obviously changed it slightly, and they were able to capitalise. I think also City maybe grew in. Maybe they came a bit too nervous because they kept making uncharacteristic mistakes, giving the ball away. But I do think it was also just the fact that Liverpool did improve a lot. Although, that being said, the second half still was relatively even in terms of the actual play. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Man City not really able to capitalise on those chances. They created plenty of them. They had plenty of shots. But the issue is, it didn't actually end in anything worthy to be called a big chance other than one occasion throughout the whole 90 minutes. I think this is more than City need a striker, because it was very similar in the Chelsea game, which they did win, similar in the PSG game, which they did lose, but I still maintain that City played much better, even though they lost 2-0. And it's reflected again here, even though City, throughout the whole course of the game, were the better side. Every single player needs to step up. It's not just about, oh, we need a striker. I think all of them need to step up. All of them need to start contributing. It can't just be one player. In the past, it's been De Bruyne. Last season, it was primarily Gundogan, for example. All of the players need to up their game and contribute in terms of goals. But that's something for Pep and the rest of the team to work on. Not only create chances, because they do create chances, but they need to improve that final third quality in terms of creating the bigger chances and then ultimately capitalising and finishing those big chances. And speaking of the need to improve, let's talk about João Cancelo, who I do really like as a player. I think he's fantastic. I think he could go on to become a world-class player, especially because he's playing on the left-hand side and he's a right-back. He actually made the same amount of key passes as Mo Salah, who was, I believe, the joint man of the match with Phil Foden. Gabriel Jesus actually had 3 key passes, which I wasn't aware of, so Jesus played a lot better than I actually noticed. But yeah, João Cancelo, offensively, he's very, very good. We're going to get into the Liverpool goals in a second, because what I'm going to say in terms of what he needs to improve is defensively, he isn't the best. Maybe on the right-hand side he's slightly better, but I think he was potentially slightly at fault for both Liverpool goals. Certainly the second one more than the first, I think. But the first one, he just goes into quickly on Salah and he's able to just get away from him, which then leaves the space for Mo Salah to get in behind, and he plays it to Mane and he scores a brilliant goal. And if you remember those attacking maps that I showed you earlier, we can see that Liverpool's attacking play was heavily dominated down this right-hand side, i.e. Mo Salah, and also the fact that City were also attacking primarily down that left-hand side, but the main issue was Cancelo is very attack-orientated. He's very good offensively, defensively. He does need to improve. It led to the first goal in a way, and also for the second goal by Mo Salah, which was an absolutely world-class goal. I don't really blame Laporte, who basically got sat down when Salah turned him inside out. I just think the quality of Salah was too much for Laporte, but I think a bit more of the blame can potentially be put on. I mean, Bernardo Silva just dives in on Salah. I think he's just too keen to try to put his body in the way. Maybe he should just try to stay on his feet, try to just jockey him away. Salah just gets away from Cancelo too easily, which then leads to Salah's amazing chance at a goal. So for me, that's something that Cancelo does need to improve on, and that will be potentially something as demonstrated here. It also helps that Salah plays on the right hand side generally, so it's relatively easy to exploit for Liverpool, but I do fear that other teams might also try to exploit that potential weakness from João Cancelo. And also something I just want to touch on, look at the lack of attacking play down the middle for both sides. Only 18% through the middle for City, only 19% through the middle for Liverpool. This was very much a day for the fullbacks and the wingers / inside forwards to shine and thrive, and that's exactly what we saw with Salah, Mane and Foden all scoring. So after Liverpool up their game in the second half, it leads to that Mane goal, potentially Cancelo's fault slightly. It definitely did come against the run of play, even though Liverpool had slightly upped their game. At that point, City were still the better side overall in the game. And there is the goal, and Mane scored. There you go. But unsurprisingly, it was from a counter-attack, and again, it comes against the run of play. It's a really nice play from Mo Salah. Foden's then able to respond with a brilliant goal, probably something he should have done in the first half, where he was able to take the shot away from Alisson to his far post. Maybe it's something he could have done, after that lovely Bernardo dribble. Maybe Foden could have hit it first time, but good to see he got the finish he deserved. Jesus into Phil Foden, tries to take the shot on. You're a beautiful, beautiful human being, and you can have my children. Get in, Phil. And then the moment of the match, not this world-class Salah goal. Unfortunately, I'm going to talk about this. This really made me very angry live on stream. Side note, I live stream football watch-alongs and just gaming generally on the Twitch. It's twitch.tv/LNobbins. Link in the description. Make sure to go follow the link, go follow the Twitch if you want to join me live for the streams to come chat with me. But James Milner, who was on the yellow card from the first half when Foden did him, whatever, he should have been sent off. No, there is no doubt in anyone. I don't think I've come across anyone who's tried to argue against Milner being sent off, because it's the most blatant second yellow you'll ever see. Pep Guardiola was absolutely disgusted by it. He was so angry, and I was so angry as well. And there's an injustice like that in such a huge, crucial game. It's at Anfield. You know how good Liverpool are. It's early days, but long term, this could be, title deciding. Liverpool have also not lost a game yet, so a moment like that could be a huge difference season long, whatever sort of thing. So for it to not happen, that injustice to happen, is so frustrating. But what made it worse was, 2 minutes, 3 minutes later, Mo Salah goes and scores that absolutely outrageous world-class finish. And then a couple minutes after that, they take off Milner because they know they've got away with one. That really boiled my blood on stream. It really got to me and angered me. Let's have a look at this again. Bernardo Silva did so well here. Dribbling past. He makes Henderson look a right mug. That's such a... What? That's a second yellow! Bollocks, that's a red card for James Milner. Unbelievable that's not been given. Unbelievable. Milner should be off the pitch. City should be playing against 10 men right now, 20 minutes left. And I don't want to live in a world of hypotheticals because I can't see the future. So I don't want to say, well, if Milner is sent off at 1, because it was 1-1 at that time, I think it was around the 75th minute that Milner should have been sent off. So that leaves you 15 to 20 minutes of a dominant Manchester City side playing a 10-man Liverpool side. Manchester City are in the ascendancy. I'm not saying that City would have definitely won that game in that scenario, but what I am saying is that City would have been against 10 men for 15 to 20 minutes, and they were the better side at that time. So you can draw what conclusions you want from that. You can come up with your own hypotheses. I'm not going to say exactly what would happen, but City would have been objectively in a much stronger position had what should have happened. But what actually happened was not the correct refereeing decision. Salah went to the other side, scored absolutely world-class goal. Annoyingly, I couldn't enjoy the goal partly because it was scored against City, obviously, so I wasn't happy, but also because all I could think about was, well, Milner should be sent off, so this shouldn't be happening, and like, this is really annoying me. Salah's been playing amazingly, and if this results in a goal, and it does, oh, for God's sake, really? That's such a good... It's annoying because it's such a fabulous goal, but I can't move past the Milner sending off. That's tainted it for me. Brilliant goal from Salah. Cancelo just gets taken away too easily. Laporte gets done. Brilliant play by Mo Salah. Unreal goal. But then City were able to go a few minutes after. Once again, it came from Phil Foden down the left-hand side. He played it back. Then De Bruyne, absolute wonder strike on his weak foot. Didn't have the best game, actually. He kept misplacing the ball over and over, but fortunately, quality players like that don't need to have a good game overall to still score goals, fortunately. Here's Phil Foden again. Raheem Sterling in the box here. So is Kyle Walker. Here's Kevin De Bruyne. Ah! Get in! Fuck you, referee! Brilliant play from Phil Foden. Kyle Walker leaves it. Justice was half done. It was at least what City deserved. I actually did a poll on the YouTube community tab asking you guys, was a draw a fair result? Was a City win fair? Would a Liverpool win have been fair? And just under half of you guys said that a draw was fair. 41% said that City deserved the win, and 10% said Liverpool deserved the win. Don't know what game they were watching, because if I'm a Liverpool fan, I would be absolutely ecstatic with a draw based on the context of not being the better side throughout the whole game, and also getting away with one, re the Milner being sent off situation. For me, I think a draw probably was the fair result, but if we're edging it for which team deserved to win, if you had to pick one, obviously the answer's City, and the fact that the crucial refereeing decision went against them as well, and this was a crucial decision that could have changed the game. Again, not saying it would have, but it certainly could have, it certainly would have strengthened City's hand. As a City fan, I'm entitled to be annoyed at that, and I am very annoyed at that. But at the same time, I won't say no to a draw at Anfield. It hasn't been a happy hunting ground for City historically. And when you also consider City have played Chelsea away, and they won in the Premier League. They played PSG away, they lost, but it's only the group stage. And then they played Liverpool away, and they drew. And in all three of those games, the performances were exceptional. I'd actually say that the PSG performance was probably still the best one, even though that's the one they lost. I still think that was the best one, probably followed by the Chelsea performance and then the Liverpool performance. But the fact that they outplayed their opponents, or certainly had the better of the play in all three of those games, and that's arguably for City the three trickiest away fixtures they could have in world football, to get a win at Chelsea, a draw at Liverpool, and then lose at PSG, where it's a group stage match anyway, so it probably doesn't really matter long term. If you told me that was going to be the outcome before those games were played, I definitely would have taken that, I think. So, and the fact that City were able to play the way they played in those games and put in those performances in those games that they did, I'm very happy with that. It does mean Chelsea currently first, Liverpool second, and then City third, but it's incredibly tight there. In fact, there's 4 teams currently on 14 points, Liverpool on 15, Chelsea 16. So for a neutral, this is probably the perfect result, keeps the title race incredibly tight. But I think what this game demonstrated was that these are, in addition to Chelsea, City and Liverpool are the teams in the Premier League. This is a different standard and a different level of football. I'm not just trying to have a go at United. United actually played Everton and It was a 1-1 draw, and in fact, United and Everton are 4th and 5th respectively. This was a totally different standard and level of football, and I just think that Chelsea, Liverpool, City are in basically a totally different league to any other teams in the division overall, because that 90 minutes of football just had quality in abundance. That's the game, guys. Liverpool 2, City 2. Little bit frustrated about the result because I think City could have won the game if there were different circumstances. I'm not going to say they would have, but they were the better side. I would die on that hill. They just were the better side overall, but they did play better at Anfield against a Liverpool side who many people are saying is one of the best starting 11s in the world. I understand they didn't have any Trent today or Thiago, for example, but still very promising performance from City. They've now got out of those 3 incredibly tricky away fixtures in a row, relatively unscathed, and it was a really good game of football to watch as well. The next video will be a third kit tier list, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But until then, guys, eat, yeet, skeet, delete. Have a lovely evening, and I'll see you next time.